So my name is Jensen Casey. I am a certified pediatric sleep consultant, and I am here to talk to you about what happens when overnight sleep gets interrupted. So this is actually based on a true story, but I've had lots of clients come to me that this has happened to them, and then they're not really sure what to do in the nights to follow. So our personal story of when this happened, we were all sleeping and I just randomly woke up. It was probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I woke my husband up. I said, "Do you smell gas?" And he was like, "No, I don't really smell anything." But I got up and I kind of walked around my bed and I said, "Yeah, no, our house definitely smells like gas." So we went downstairs, we made sure the stove and everything was off. Everything was off. But I still we were still kind of concerned. So he went outside and we said, "Do you smell gas outside?" So I went outside and I said, "No, I don't smell anything out here." But as soon as I stepped back into our house, I definitely noticed very strong odor. So we kind of panicked. We ran upstairs. We grabbed our 3 children out of bed at 2:30 in the morning to bring them outside to safety. We had to call National Grid. We had to wait for somebody to come out. He said, "Yep, there definitely was a small gas leak that was coming through the vents." So, great job realizing it and getting your children out. So my children, imagine you're sleeping nicely in your beds and you get woken up, you get brought outside, it's freezing cold outside. And that definitely interrupted our night's sleep. So when we brought them back in to settle them back into bed, they luckily, because my children are wonderful sleepers, they just went back into their beds and they were able to fall asleep easily. But I've had a lot of clients come to me as this happens, like maybe a fire alarm runs out of batteries and it's chirping, or the fire alarm goes off and they're not sure why it went off, but then their children have a really, really hard time falling back to sleep, or they're then fearful to go to sleep the following night because they don't want that to happen again. So I wanted to give you all some strategies if this has ever happened to you, or to keep in the back of your mind if it does end up happening to you, unfortunately. So the first thing that you want to do is, in the moment as it's happening, you can explain in a very age-appropriate way what is going on. So we just explained to our children, there was something in our house that was smelling a little bit funny and not safe. So we wanted to get you out and have someone come to make sure our house is safe for us to sleep in. So we really talked that through. What was the smell? Was it stinky? And then they started to get silly. So we just explained as age appropriately as we could kind of what was happening, and that once our house was safe, we would be going back inside and we would all return right back to our beds and sleep until morning. So because we had talked it through, my oldest, who is 5, was like, "This is the most fun night ever." So, we really tried to make it safe and comfortable so that they weren't concerned about what was happening. They weren't worried to go back into the home or anything like that, because we really, reiterated how this man was coming in to make sure that our house was really safe for us to return to and to be able to get back to sleep. So really talking in the moment as age appropriately as you can about what is happening so they feel comforted and not nervous to return to the house. So if it is a fire alarm, you can say, "Oh, we have these fire alarms to go off and to keep us safe if there were a fire. There was no fire today, so it was just it was practice. Our fire alarm was just going off to show us what it would sound like if there were really a fire. And we did exactly what we should have done. We got you outside to safety, and now, we're waiting for the firemen to come and make sure that our house is nice and safe. And then when they tell us it's safe, we'll go back inside and return to sleep." So really, again, just reiterating what's happening and letting them know. If your child does seem really fearful and is asking a lot of questions, either that night or the next day, try to bring it into a play situation. So if you have a fire truck or little firemen or firewoman figurines or something like that, even if you don't, you can say something as a fireman and act it out for them so they can really have a chance to understand. "Oh, look, these little cars are sleeping. Oh, whatever the fire alarm sound is. Oh, the fire alarm is going off. the mama car is going to grab the babies and take them outside. So they have a chance to kind of walk through it and play, and you can really kind of get a better understanding of exactly how they felt and what what their concerns are as it's not happening. So they're not in the moment feeling those feelings. They can talk about it a little bit easier when they're not having that emotional reaction to it as well. So this way, it just really helps them be able to talk through it and think through it so they know exactly, what's happening. Then you can reiterate again, it was just practice. Our fire alarm is safe. It keeps our home safe. It was just practice. Now we will be able to sleep in our beds again. So if there is something like a big event that comes up that is interrupting your overnight sleep, definitely take these tools going forward to talk about it in the moment and then to talk about it again the next day so they know it is safe to return to their beds, to their rooms to sleep. If they are fearful at bedtime, that's another great opportunity to bring it up and just remind them of the exact same language that you used the previous night and again during the day so that they know, what will happen, that the fire alarm hopefully will not go off that night. But if it does, we know exactly what to do to stay safe. It could create a little bit of anxiety for them for the next night or two or maybe three, but really just reiterating how safe they are, maybe watching a video about a fire alarm, again, playing it out so they can comment on exactly what they're feeling so you can get a better sense is going to be really helpful. So any questions at all, pop them in the comments and I am happy to answer them.